Heather here, Expert Realtors, and another episode of a Coffee Chat, because that's what we do. Here with me today is Craig Anderson. He is with Clearpath, and he is, as you can see above us and on our coffee cups, he is a fellow nerd. I love that. Just had to throw that in there. Craig and I have known each other for...
a long time.
Yes, about 6
or 7 years, I would guess, yeah.
Yes. We were together on the auxiliary board for Partners in Housing. A lot of the people on the board were more about the fun and the how can we get out there. Craig, however, totally impressed me with his idea of the business. He wanted to know what Partners was all about, and I was like, okay, this guy has a business brain. Sorry, that's exactly what I thought of when we had lunch that day. So, why don't you tell me all about Clearpath?
Sure. So I started Clearpath Coaching and Consulting, spinning out of 25 years working for Fortune 500 companies and learning what it takes to make a Fortune 500 company successful, all about planning and discipline and diligence. And then I ran my own small business that took some of those principles, scaled them to the small business size, and we were able to grow our business from about $500,000 to $5 million in revenue in 3 years.
Nice.
We were named a great place to work in Indianapolis because the people part is just as important as the planning and the discipline process. And after we had that going for a few years, I decided I would rather go out and start helping other people build their businesses. So I launched Clearpath Coaching and Consulting a couple of years ago so I could help leaders take those Fortune 500 companies and start applying to their own companies, really specializing in professional services companies who really want to focus on improving their planning and their processing and their people management. So that's what I do.
So for small businesses like myself, so coming into the whole small business world, I was very much, I don't know what I don't know until I find out that I don't know it.
Right.
So having to go back and look at, okay, well, how do I get my name out there? I got to market. What do I do? Do you start at the beginning with these new businesses, or?
A lot of, I can and I have. A lot of times what I do is work with companies that get to the point where, you start your small business and you're very successful and you start growing and you start getting some realtors under you and you start getting some other people to do the back office work. And before you know it, you've got 10 or 15 people. Well, it's really hard for you to manage 10 or 15 people. So you start to realize, I need to actually really start growing this business, and I've got to maybe get some people between me and the other people to help lead. But then you get a little nervous saying, hey, there's a way I want to do business. I created this portfolio, building it the way I want to build it. I'm worried that if I do it through other people, it's all going to fall apart. People aren't going to do it the way I want it. So you try and keep control.
It's very much my way when it comes down to it.
Which is great until you find out that things aren't getting done because everything's got to go through you.
Exactly.
So you have to start thinking about how you lead and manage the business in a different way. And so that's really the kind of business. Around 10 or 15 employees, when they really start they're saying, well, I used to be surrounded by helpers. Now I need to start putting some leaders in place if I'm going to continue to grow the way I want to grow. And how do you do things through other leaders? You have to have a clear plan. You have to have a vision of where you're going. You have to have, a set of numbers and objectives so people know what's important. You have to say how we are going to do business. This is how we're going to treat people. This is how we're going to treat our customers. And then you start to realize, all right, if I'm going to do all those things, I got some gaps. These are the things I have to build. And you want to make sure that everybody in your organization knows what's the vision, what are the objectives, how do we do business, and what are the priorities. And if you can do that effectively as a leader, then you can not only continue to grow the business, you can grow the business and ensure that other people are doing it the way you want. And that's where things fall apart.
Oh, yeah. And one of the things is that the whole point of this whole video series, Coffee Chats series.
Sorry.
Yeah, my mistake.
I forgot to keep my coffee in frame at all times.
One of the things is, I have a lot of friends who are in small business, obviously why I'm doing this, but I personally sometimes get stuck on the, okay, well, what do I do next? How do I get to the next step? And again, like I said, Craig, first meeting him, the impression was, this guy's a genius. You're welcome.
Thank you. Write that down, everybody. Genius.
No, seriously. I mean, he was asking me questions about the business side that I didn't even think of. So when I actually got to sit on the couch with him, the first thing that I did was ask a question. And that's, okay, how do I know when it's time to go to the next step? Or how do I set up? I mean, you mentioned bringing, you have to have your matrix. My thing is, well, where do I know where do my matrix start? Is there is there something that ultimately I can say, okay, if my goal is X, and then you just break it down from there? I know it sounds dumb to ask that, but...
Yeah, where I usually start with people, say, all right, where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? Right? That's your big goal for where you want to be. And then you start working it backwards to say, all right, well, if I'm going to be doing this much revenue, and I'm going to have this many employees, and I'm going to look like this in 3 years, then you can start kind of going back in time to say, well, if I'm there then, what happened at month 24? What happened at month 12? And then you say, all right, well, if I'm going to get there, if I'm going to be there in the first year, what activities do I need to do by the end of the first year? And we'll do some research, right, to figure out, all right, take your business, for example, right? For every person you're going to get to close a deal, you're going to have to start thinking through, all right, how many people do I have to talk to get somebody to sign with me? How many of those people are going to actually actively go all the way through? So you can start figuring out, all right, for every close I get selling a house for somebody, I'm going to need to talk to 15 people. So if I want to close on 10 houses this year, now I know I have to talk to 150 people. All right, if I'm going to talk to 150 people, how many people do I need to be talking to a month if I'm going to do that? And what do those people look like? What's my ideal client? Are you selling $1 million houses? Or
My name's not Biff.
Your name's not Biff. So if all right, who are the people who buy houses that are $200,000 and less? If that's your seed spot, right? So who are those people? Where do they work? What do they do? Then we have to figure out, all right, if you're going to talk to these 150 people, I got to go talk to the people who are my ideal client. And then we start tracking to say, all right, how many of those people did we talk to? Did we have the right close rates that we thought?
Yeah.
So we either need to talk to more, or we're talking to the wrong people. So we have to start measuring everything we do, because that tells us, should we do more of that thing because it works, or do less of that thing, or do none of that thing.
And keeping track of all that to make sure that I'm holding myself accountable.
Correct.
Which is something else that you brought up in our pre-chat, was you have groups that you create.
Yeah, so what I really do is I work with largely professional services business owners who are scaling and really need help building some of those discipline processes in. And one of the things that you find when you're leading your own company is everybody thinks, well, I want to be the boss, whether this is in a big company because the boss has got it made, nobody tells them what to do. But here's the part you don't realize when you're the boss, and that's of a boss of a company of 10 people or a company of 10,000 people is. It's an incredibly lonely chair to sit in.
Oh, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it all sits with you, and everybody who comes to you to be helpful has an agenda. Could be your spouse, could be your direct reports, it could be your board. Everybody has an agenda. So what I wanted to do was create an environment where, one, we sit down and build your plan, but then every month you sit down with a group of business owners who don't compete with you, who exist only to help you be successful in your business. So they don't have any skin in the game, except they want to help you because they think you'll help them as well. And we also work with each other, hold each other accountable to say, Heather, you said you were going to talk to 20 people last month. We're looking at your report. You only talked to 10. What happened?
I don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully a better answer than that. But it's the idea of saying, all right, as a business owner, I need the support of a group of peers to help me be more successful. And the rising tide lifts all boats when everybody's working together and trying to lift each other up.
I love that. But yeah, I don't like to fail other people, let alone myself. So having that accountability would be awesome.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing this as a whole? I mean, not just Clearpath, but...
Which part? The coaching or before that?
All of that.
Oh, I'm very old. So I had about 25 years growing teams. I started out in banking and started leading regional sales teams and national sales teams and in other businesses and running my own business. So I've been doing that for a long time, 25 or 30 years. So it's, and I think another challenge you have as a business owner is you run into problems and you're like, oh my God, no one's ever had this problem before. Yeah. No problem is new. It's just new to you.
Yeah.
So having more people around you like me who's gone through a lot of experiences and other business owners helps you to say, all right, I've faced this before. Here's some things for you to think about, so that it's not to say you'll never have problems. You're always going to run into problems and challenges, but can you solve them more quickly by benefiting from my experience and the experience of the group around you?
I always say it's the same chocolate, just different wrapper. Everybody's dealt with it in some way or another. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Well, I told you, genius. As always, all the information for Craig is going to be in the description. I'll have his email, his Facebook page, his or do you have a website? Your website?
I've got a website. I've got
Okay.
a Facebook group, and I actually have a Facebook community where we bring people in. We provide lots of information and some of that sharing and information already. So yeah, I'll give you the link to the
nice.
Facebook group.
That'll be in there.
And I do a weekly live training every Thursday at 5 on a lot of these issues.
Watch
So
some of his stuff. I'm not gonna lie, genius. Anyway, it's been great sitting on your couch. Oh, it's
Absolutely.
an away game today, by the way. I forgot to
Yes.
mention that. I came to him today. That's how much I wanted him to do this.
thank you.
Anyway, another couch talk, his couch, with coffee, and I will see you again. Thanks.
Thanks.